Good evening, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hope y'all are doing well this evening. We're excited to be here with y'all and be a part of Encounter Evening this Sunday.
Yeah. It's been a while. So it's what I guess is we had 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
One for technical difficulties with the AC, and then last week for the 4th. So it's good to be back together.
Yeah,
so.
We're excited to hear from Thomas and Best Friends, who are always great, and also two of our very best friends, Stephen and Celeste.
That's right.
Some of y'all know they used to be here.
I was going to say y'all might have known them at some point. So, but before we get into that, I have a couple things we want to talk about and make sure that you guys are aware of. And the first thing is for the foreseeable future, we're going to do our Sunday night encounters online here on YouTube, and there's a couple of reasons for that. And number one is just because it's really impossible for us to maintain the safe social distancing guidelines here in the teen room. It's and so instead of having to mess with that or ask you guys to wear masks and all that stuff, we just decided to do it online and be able to chat with you guys in the comments and talk with y'all there. And so we're looking forward to hanging out, though. And so we are going to be planning something coming up later on this week, actually, Thursday night. And so, sorry. In true to form, as we're getting to the very last minute of right before we went live, things went wrong, and so we've spent the last 2 or 3 minutes running around trying to make sure everything's working. And so I'm trying to get my head back in the game right now. And so, so we're gonna do the drive-in movie Thursday night, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it's just a chance for us to still get together, but to be outside so that we don't require y'all to wear masks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a big blow-up screen that we got for the youth group.
And it's real big. It's 18 feet big. It's huge.
That is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are going to we want y'all's opinion. If you want to watch, do you want to watch a scary movie, which is my favorite kind of movie, a funny movie, or a thrilling movie?
An action adventure movie.
And so don't tell us the necessarily names of movies you want to see,
because we already have those picked out.
We do.
So we know what movies in each genre we would show. We just need to know from you which genre you are in the mood for this Thursday.
So vote for a genre. You can text JE. You can
drop it in the comments right below.
You can drop it in the comments. You can send an email. You can put a mailbox or a letter in the post. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah,
anyway,
just let us know.
So comedy, thriller, scary movie, and
action adventure. I don't know why that's hard, but action adventure, not a thriller.
So we're gonna have popcorn and drinks.
Yes.
Tell them the options for sitting.
Yeah. So some of y'all are too young to drive cars, and so your parents don't have to sit there with you in the back seat. If they don't want to, they're welcome to come if they want to watch the movie. But if they don't want to, we are going to have a section right in front of the screen where you can bring camping chairs, folding chairs, lawn chairs, any kind of chair. And you can sit right there, and we can still maintain our 6-foot distance from each other and all that stuff. And all the people who are making popcorn and handing out drinks will be masked up and gloved up and all that stuff. But that way you can sit outside, you can hang out, watch the movie. And if you drive a car, you can sit in your car and listen. We're going to be broadcasting the sound over the airwaves. And so you can tune your radio in and be able to listen to the movie in your car. We'll also have a sound system out there for people who want to sit outside. So even if you bring your own car, you could still just bring a camping chair or lawn chair and sit outside with everyone and hear the movie just fine.
Yeah. And so what time is that going to start, JE?
That is going to be determined by the sun. And so right now, sun is setting later and later. I think we're still on the late side of things. And so around 9 o'clock, 9:15 is sunset. And so if y'all want to get to the building and start getting your cars parked and set up, 8:30, 8:45, somewhere around there. And then just as soon as it gets dark enough for the picture to show up on the screen and us to be able to enjoy the movie, we'll push play and watch the movie together.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to keep that going. That's not just this Thursday. Hopefully, weather permitting and all that stuff, we'll be able to do that every Thursday night for the next several weeks, at least until school gets back into the swing of things. But to kind of finish out the summer with a little movie festival out in the parking lot every Thursday. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, fun. Something else we wanted to mention to y'all is that this Wednesday night, adult classes are starting to meet back here at the building. They'll actually be meeting in the gym, correct?
That is correct. Adults will be meeting in the gym. And all the seats are, if you've been in the gym, you've seen they have the social distance guidelines set up. So family groups can sit together, but clusters of seats are separated out so we can maintain a little bit more distance from each other. And also that lets the auditorium sit for a full 7 days between uses, and it'll let the gym sit for a full 7 days between uses. And so that way we can make sure it's sanitized and all that good stuff every time we go in there.
Yeah, sounds good. And there's not going to be any teen class or children's class at this time. We won't be starting those back up until school starts again.
Yeah.
But what do the teens or the children do if they're coming?
So they will be providing something for children. So if parents with young children want to come to the adult class, we will be providing a class of sorts. It's not going to be the full-blown Pathfinders at this point, but there will be something provided for children in the art room, which if you could look right through this wall right here, it's right there because we are in the teen room right now. So the kids will be welcomed in there, and Amber, our children's minister, has a lot of stuff that she's planning to do with them. And if you are a teen and you would like to pour into the lives and the souls and the spirits of our younger children here at Fairmont Park, this would be an excellent opportunity, especially since we're not doing class right now on Wednesday nights, for you guys to not just be fed by the body, but to feed other people and to give back to the kids. And so if you're interested in helping out with the children's ministry during this time, let me know. You can drop that right in the comments also, or send me a text or a carrier pigeon, or put a letter in the mailbox, email. You could walk up to the church and let me know too. So anyways, just let us know, and we'll get your contact to Amber, the children's minister, and she will get you plugged in, let you know what she needs.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, Jay, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's hot outside.
Oh, is it? I haven't noticed. So
real hot.
Yeah, and so speaking of, I'm glad you said that, because that might affect our drive-in. If it's miserable out there, then we'll look at that. I don't want you to think of that as a torturous experience.
Yeah.
But so when I say weather permitting, that's heat and rain and all the other stuff. But it is hot. So I got a national weather warning alert today about how hot it is outside.
I've never seen that before.
And I've never seen that. And so I'm curious, how do you guys stay cold or stay cool on a super hot day? What's your favorite way to stay cool? So if you'll drop that in the comments, then I would like to hear all the ways that you guys like to stay cool on a hot day. And Megan and I are going to be joining you in the comments in just a moment. So I'm looking forward to reading your comments if any of y'all have posted those yet. But at this point, we're getting ready to start our encounter experience. And so, like Megan said, we do have some worship by Thomas and Best Friends. We have an awesome lesson from Stephen and Celeste Smith, who we love and you love. And so I'm excited for us to get into that. Just as a primer, I just want to let you guys know, we understand that sitting in your room on a phone, watching some people sing may not feel the most natural to join in singing with them. And so if that feels awkward for you, or if you just don't feel comfortable, or maybe you're watching in the living room and other people are doing other things and you don't really want to sing in front of people, like we get that. And so I want to just remind you that singing out loud with your voice is certainly not the only way to worship God. And so if you feel more comfortable just prayerfully listening to the songs and letting those words soak into your heart and into your brain and meditating on those, that's a great way to worship on your own whenever you don't feel comfortable singing out. And so don't feel like you have to sing at the top of your lungs in your bedroom. If you want to do that, that's awesome too. So do that, but worship in whatever way feels natural and feels comfortable to you. And don't feel like you have to do something just because there's something going on a screen. This is about worship is about you connecting with God and offering up your praise and your adoration for him. And so whatever way you want to do that tonight, we invite you to do that as we enter into our worship time. And before we get into that, I was going to let you know the story that Stephen and Celeste are going to talk about tonight is the story of the man who goes and asks his friend in the middle of the night for a loaf of bread. And so we've actually talked about that here in our Sunday morning class, and I'm excited to share Stephen and Celeste's just a different take on it that I had never really thought about. But as we get into that, I want to ask you a question. So I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I know there's been times where I have wanted to ask my parents for something, and I felt like the answer to that question was going to be no. All right. And so you've probably had that feeling where you want to ask for something, you think the answer is probably going to be no. And so in the comments here in a second, we're going to join you. And in the comments, we want you to write, what are the ways that you try to make that no turn into a yes? How do you convince your parents to shift from a no to a yes whenever you're asking those tough questions? So I'm looking forward to hearing that. And without further ado, we're going to get into our worship. So we'll see you in just a second.
All right.
Guys. I really need $500.
What? Why do you need $500?
I just need $500. Don't worry about it.
Katie, do you understand that kind of request? Like,
Yeah.
I have to call my wife to see if I can give you that money. I'd have to go to the bank to get that kind of cash.
Okay.
I don't think I can do that. What about you, Marty?
Yeah, I just don't want to give you $500.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the help.
You know, huge requests are kind of crazy in today's world, but with God, it's not always that way. In fact, some of my greatest friends, Stephen and Celeste, have a lot to say about the way that we approach God in our prayer. And so I'm looking forward to you hearing from them and figuring out a little bit different of a way to approach God that would really bless your life. But first, let's go to Thomas and Best Friends with some worship.
Once I was lost, wandering in darkness, no life inside, no hope inside. He called my name and healed my blindness, set me ablaze. Now I'm alive with His love breaking through my heart of stone, love breathing to awake my bones, love reaching out to save my soul, love never gonna let me go. And now my heart so full of worship, I can't hold back, I can't contain it, for all He's done, Jesus my Savior. I am ablaze and full of thanks for His love breaking through my heart of stone, love breathing to wake my bones, love reaching out to save my soul, love never gonna let me go, love calling me as I am, love making me new again, love lifting me when I can't, love never gonna let me go. Wherever you've been, whatever you've done, come as you are, come into His open arms. Wherever you've been, and whatever you've done, come as you are, come find His love breaking through my heart of stone, love breathing to wake my bones, love reaching out to save my soul, love never gonna let me go, love calling me as I am, love making me new again, love lifting me when I can't, love never gonna let me go, love breaking through my heart of stone, love breathing to wake my bones, love reaching out to save my soul, love never gonna let me go, love calling me as I am, love making me new again, love lifting me when I can't, love never gonna let me go, love never gonna let me go, love never gonna let me go. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. My sin, know the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when the face shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
Hey, thanks for worshiping with us. We're excited. We've got Stephen and Celeste Smith here to encourage us. So grab your Bibles and listen in.
Hello, Encounter. Stephen and Celeste here. So we've been home social distancing with our 4 children for 70 days. 70 days. We have 4 kids. Lily, who's 18, River, who's 10, Canyon, who's 4, and Aspen, who's 9 months old. The oldest and youngest 2 have been perfect angels to be locked up in our home with. The middle 2, not so much. I think River, our 10-year-old, would do fine, except she has a little brother. And here's the thing. For those of you who don't have little brothers, they love to pester. And sometimes he can be a real jerk. In fact, the only way I survive some of the things he does is by pretending he's just really a weird roommate that we live with. A roommate who picks his nose and then eats it, but then cries if you leave the crust on an Uncrustable sandwich. There's this one day that he asked for a piece of candy that he found in Stephen's drawer. And here's something that you need to know about Stephen. Stephen likes fancy, expensive chocolate. This was one of those Ghirardelli chocolates that are like $10 for 5 of them. And it was a Christmas gift from me, his favorite, chocolate with a caramel center. Stephen had 1 more left. And Canyon asked if he could have it. Stephen said, buddy, I don't think you'll like it. Why don't we share it and you can have a piece and I can too. But Canyon does not like to share his food. If you open a package of fruit snacks and eat 1, he will cry until you open him a brand new pack of fruit snacks. So he cried and Stephen relented, giving him the whole chocolate. About 10 minutes later, I found it in the bathroom trash. I said, buddy, did you throw this away? And he responds, yeah, I don't like the stuff inside it. Total jerk move.
You know, it makes me think about a story that Jesus tells in Luke chapter 11 about a guy who made a bold request of his friend. Jesus says, suppose that you have a friend and you go to him at midnight and you say, friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread. A friend of mine on a journey has come to me and I have no food to offer him. And suppose the one on the inside answers, don't bother me. The door is already locked and my children and I are in bed. I can't get up and give you anything. I tell you, even though he will not get up and give the bread because of the friendship, yet because of your boldness, he will surely get up and give you as much as you need. You know, and I've often wondered, why does Jesus tell this story? You see, if you back up just a little bit in Luke chapter 11, you'll find that Jesus and the disciples, that they are asking Jesus to teach them how to pray. And Jesus teaches them to pray the Lord's Prayer. And he says, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done," et cetera, et cetera. When asked how to pray, Jesus responds with a story about a guy who boldly asks for bread in the middle of the night and receives it, not because the guy wants to give him the bread, but because the guy was so bold in asking. You see, that's how the NIV version of the Bible, the one that I grew up reading, puts it. It was translated in 1984, and you can actually no longer find a copy of it anywhere. Believe me, I have looked. You can't find a copy of it anymore because they recently, a few years ago, retranslated the NIV. And the new version changes only one word in this passage. The new NIV says in verse 8, "I tell you, even though he will not get up and give you the bread because of your friendship, yet because of your shameless audacity, he will surely get up and give you as much as you need." Which makes me wonder, how are we supposed to pray? I mean, what is the most obedient way to pray? I mean, the way that I normally pray is I say things like "Lord, please, if you would please, if it's convenient for you, if it's your will," et cetera, et cetera. But that doesn't feel very bold. It doesn't feel like shameless audacity, which makes me wonder, when our prayers go unanswered, is it because we sound like we don't really want what we're asking for? Well, I mean, you know God. I mean, if you really want to, I mean, that sort of thing. What would it look like to pray with shameless audacity? You see, several years ago, I was driving home with my family between Midland and Dallas when I was pulled over by a patrol car. An officer got out of the car, walked up to the window and said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And the truth was that I actually didn't. And he said, "Well, I clocked you at 80 miles an hour coming over that hill." And I immediately interrupted him and said, "No, you did not." I said, if you try to give me a ticket for going 80 miles per hour, then I'm going to contest it because I know for a fact that I was not going 80 miles per hour. An officer looked a little confused and he said, "Are you sure?" And I didn't know how to respond. And he said, "What was the guy behind you going 80 miles per hour?" And I'm like, how am I supposed to know? And he said, "Well, I was fairly certain it was you, but I've also been off for a month, and now I'm wondering if I'm not just a little rusty with the radar gun. Because you were so adamantly certain that you weren't doing it, I'm going to let you go. Have a nice day." And I'm just like, thank you?
Now, you need to know two things about that story. First off, that's the way that Stephen talks to everyone, which mortifies me. And second of all, the only way that Stephen knew for certain that he wasn't speeding is because 30 miles earlier, he was speeding when he had passed a police officer. And it scared him so much that he immediately slowed down, set the cruise at 70, which was the actual speed limit. And what he's not telling you is he was a little bit scared that the first police officer had called ahead and he was being pulled over for the speeding that he was doing 30 miles back.
She's right. And you know, recent events have made me think more about that story. You see, I had the audacity to speak to the officer that way because I've only ever known officers to be nice to me. And I realized that if I lived in a different place with a different color skin, that I might not have had the same experience. That I might not have had the audacity to speak in such a way. And that probably I would have ended up with a ticket that day. Which makes me think that we are often influenced by our experiences. And our experiences often influence the way that we think about God. If all the authority in my life has been hostile, if my parents or police officers or teachers or anybody else with authority over me has abused that authority, well, then I'm going to react to authority a lot differently.
I know this was a struggle for me as someone who had a very difficult and strained relationship with my father. You know, the author Donald Miller talks about how he believes that God marketing himself as a dad was actually a massive PR mistake, because for most of us, We don't have that great of a relationship with our dads. You see, we project onto God the experience we have in the world with other people. And some people could never speak to their parents the way that Canyon speaks to us. They could never speak to a police officer the way that Stephen spoke that day. But yet, Jesus, with this story, I believe, is giving us a glimpse into the nature of God, that we can speak honestly, boldly, and audaciously without shame, and know that God will hear us and not react the way that we might fear. And so I wonder for you, with everything that has happened in your life, if you knew that you could say whatever was on your mind to God, with whatever emotion it stirs up, what would you say?
You see, this is why I love that Jesus reminds us over and over again that we can come to him boldly, that the God of the universe loves us so much that he wants to know what we really want, that he wants to know what we would really say to him. And so I wonder, if you knew that deep down in your heart and believed it, what would you say to him? What would you ask him?
So Stephen and Celeste talked in this story about a neighbor that comes and asks for loaves of bread. Notice that it's not for him, it's for the neighbor. And so as we think about what it looks like for you to approach God with shameless audacity, what would you ask for? Who would it benefit? And how would it glorify God? Whatever you do, make sure that you approach God with boldness and shameless audacity.
I really appreciate that message. I just really appreciate Stephen and Celeste Smith, and I'm really glad to be able to share a message with them to you, because a lot of y'all remember when they were the youth ministers here at Fairmount Park, and so I think that relationship has a lot to do with message, and so just knowing their hearts and hearing that message makes it even more powerful. So thank you very much, Stephen and Celeste, for sharing your heart with us tonight. And I want to just leave y'all with, or we wanted to leave y'all with a question. And so, do you remember what that question was?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I do. I do remember the question, and it goes to I thought it was so great everything they said, but the point Stephen made about how he had boldness and the audacity to speak to the officer like that because of his experience. And I think that's such a great thing for us to remember about each other. And you know, most of us, or a lot of us, are like Stephen, and where we react because we've been brought up in kind of a safe place where we can react and not experience some harsh things from that. But I want to challenge those of y'all watching that if you can relate to what Stephen said, to where you can have boldness and outrage without even thinking about the consequences, that you take it upon yourself to look around at the people who do not feel that boldness and who do not have the space in their life where they feel that they can speak boldly about that they believe in, and that you out there and us here, that we start giving people who feel like they don't have that boldness the confidence and the reassurance that they do have to speak boldly. I believe that that's our responsibility. And so whether that be, somebody from a different country, somebody with a different skin color, I think it's our responsibility to give them boldness. And it's such a great point. And the question that we're going to leave y'all with is along those same lines. And so they talked about in the story having audacity and going to God, and that was convicting to me too. And I think that I tend to want to lower my standards because then I can't be disappointed, and if I can avoid being disappointed, then I really want to do that. But it made me wonder, what am I maybe not receiving because I'm not being bold enough for God? And not that God is withholding things from me, but that he's saying, I want you to be bold. I want you to come to me. I want you to have that audacity to ask me for what in my mind is the craziest thing that would never happen. And so that's the question that we want to leave y'all with tonight.
Yeah. Is what would be different in your life if you were to start praying that boldly? And I did before we wrap up, I did want to touch on one other thing too, because there's a comment that Celeste made in there that really jumped out at me, talking about the strained relationship that she has with her father. And I know that there are people who are watching this tonight that might have that similar strained relationship with their father. And so whenever we talk about God as a father, it's hard for us to imagine that that is a kind God, a kind person, a kind father. And so I want to talk to people who might have had bad experiences with their father. Maybe you have a father who, or a mother too, any kind of parent that either pushes you too hard or doesn't really understand you, doesn't really give you the space to be who you are, or is maybe abusive in several different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally. If that's the kind of relationship that you have with your mother or your father, I want to assure you that that is not who God is. That God is a God of love and compassion and mercy, and that God created you the way that you are because that's how he wanted you to be. And so if you want to know God better, if you want to have a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with God, then that's what we want to help you find. And that's what we hope you get out of these worship times and these lessons as we go through this at Encounter. And when we get back together in this room, in our teen room, we want to invite you to come and experience what it's like to have a relationship with not just a father, but with the good Father, which is our Heavenly Father, God. And so we'll leave you with that. Be bold in everything that you do, and especially in the things that you ask God for, and see how your life starts to change. See what God starts to do in your life when you start speaking boldly and asking boldly of him to do amazing things, because he has amazing things in store for you. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We will see you Thursday at the drive-in, and then we'll be back online next Sunday with another lesson. I think next week's lesson might be from Drew and Kelsey Denman. And so that's another couple that I'm excited to share with y'all. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all later.
See ya.
Bye-bye.